evening, everybody. Rasati out here in Singapore. And yes, it's been a minute, but I'm back on the Night Owl podcast as always. And you know what? I want to talk to you about a specific conversation I had today. So, obviously, Black Lives Matters. The whole world is in uproar, and I'm really glad. I'm sorry it took something as crazy as a month full of people just being shot and abused and killed. And I mean, it's not anything new, but it's a little more concentrated in the timeline, and a lot more footage is being released. Everything's going viral. So people are up in arms, and rightfully so. It's about damn time. But outside of that, I'm also trying to make sure that I keep in touch with the people that are nearest and dearest to my heart because they happen to be in the United States. So it's really important to me to make sure that I keep in touch with my brother, and I haven't done a really good job in the past. I kind of let him do his own thing, and I've been doing my own thing, and we talk very, very rarely, usually on birthdays, and that's about it. But lately, I've been a little more worried about him because I only have two little brothers, and both of them are dark. I happen to be light skinned, and they happen to be darker skinned, which means they also get confused for African American or Latino a lot. I get confused for Latino a lot, but they actually look African American a little bit as well because of that lovely dark skin color that they have. So, my brother happens to be in the Army in the United States. He is currently based in Tennessee. And he is a medic, so he has been, spending his days testing people for COVID. Now, among some of the conversations that I've had with him, I realized that it's been really, really difficult for him in general, even before the medic, before COVID, before Black Lives Matter, all that stuff. He's always been in a position where he has to kind of speak up for himself, and he wasn't always able to do that. So I'm really proud of him right now. He's able to do that. He's able to defend himself. He's able to stand up for himself. He's able to speak up for whatever he needs, and I'm really, really grateful. But he's not the only one who said this term or this phrase before. Lately, I've been hearing it a lot. I just don't understand. I think it's really important that we talk about that, though, because yes, none of this behavior makes sense, although it seems to be justified in the minds of the perpetrators, and it just doesn't make sense to the rest of us as onlookers or as victims either. So I want to talk about that phrase. That phrase really, really bothers me because it's usually followed by another explanation of why they will or won't do something. I just don't understand. Why should I do this? Or I just don't understand. How come I can't do this? Or I just don't understand. I don't feel like trying anymore. Is that kind of a term that kind of gets me nervous because it means you've almost come to your wit's end and you're ready to give up already. And I don't want you guys to give up. We need your voices now more than ever. And also for your own experience with any of these situations. It could be racism in your own country. It could be living in the United States, having been persecuted by anybody, being bullied, any of those things. We need your voices more than ever. So when I hear the phrase, I just don't understand, I get worried because I want to be able to talk to you about what it is that you don't understand. I want to kind of pick it apart a little bit because I need you to be able to say what it is that you don't understand. Maybe it's not that you don't understand, it's like you don't like the logic behind why people do things. And I get that. This is why I even started studying psychology in high school and in university as well, because I didn't understand. My brothers and I, raised by the two parents, right? The same two parents. But obviously, they learned from the first child, they learned from the second child, and they were a lot easier and smooth, easygoing by the time the third child came out. But their morals and their values still remain the same. They still had that hardcore attitude about, achieving. And I still don't understand why the three of us are all different, right? Obviously, we came in with our own characteristics, our own beliefs, our own personality type, our own learning style, all of that. But then we were kind of shaped by our landscape, right? Our parents, our schools, the country we happened to be in at the time, or countries that we lived in throughout the course of our lives, all those things play a part. So it's not just nature, it's also nurture. But more than that, I want to understand why people do not ask questions. People tend to swallow whatever they absorb from the media like hook, line, and sinker and believe that is the gospel truth. They are not taught to question. And that's the part that drives me nuts, because if you don't question, of course you will feel lost and kind of ill at ease. You'll feel like you're helpless because you don't have the tools to be able to do anything about this. If this is the way things are, right? If the media says that policemen are good and black people are bad and this is the way things are, of course, when you see someone being bullied and you don't know the context or whatever, you're still going to feel for the person being bullied. You're going to feel for the victim. But we don't ask questions. Like I mentioned in another podcast episode, I saw a video of a young man who happened to be picking up trash in front of his apartment complex. All right, a black man picking up trash. Beautiful thing to see. I would be so damn proud. I don't care if it's a black man or not, obviously, but really, anyone picking up trash on the sidewalk, and not just one piece of trash. He had like a little scooper thingy that he was like, using to pick up trash all over. He was walking around the neighborhood picking up trash. I thought that was great. And he wasn't in a jumpsuit or nothing. It wasn't like it was community service. He was doing it because he wanted to contribute. And I thought that was beautiful. But then this police officer with the body cam on is following him around, asking him a bunch of questions to prove the fact that he has the right to be there. He's not looting mailboxes. He's freaking picking up trash. And you want to question him on why? Why is he here picking up trash? Shouldn't he be somewhere else? Like, come on, seriously? So when I think about those things, I wonder, like, what is it that makes this man believe that he has the right to persecute someone for picking up trash? What makes him see this person as a threat to him? Because let's face it, on the body cam records audio as well. And I clearly hear the police officer say, I need you to sit down with your hands on your head because I don't feel safe around you. Yeah, but you came up to him. You started following him around, but you don't feel safe? And then the next thing he asks is for ID, something with his address on it. He wants to know for a fact that this man lives in this particular place. But if I was being approached by someone like that, I would immediately think, oh my God, if I give him anything with my address on it, chances are I'm going to see his face again, but this time at my door, and that's a little more scary. So I understood when the man said, no, I'm not going to give that to you. But when he called for backup, he said, I have a suspect. He is dangerous. He is a threat. He is not complying. When you use those words not complying, it means that you've asked nicely and he's not listening, but that means he's also doing something wrong and is not listening to you. He was being harassed by the police and he was not listening for his own safety. He has the right to do that. There was a law in Virginia that states if a car pulls up behind you with flashing lights, you have the right to not pull over. You have the right to continue driving, possibly on the shoulder, right, with your blinkers on or whatever, while you call 911 and check with dispatch to make sure that that is actually a police car behind you. Because you can actually buy flashing lights on the internet and be an unmarked car, in parentheses, and pretend to be, a cop. So these are things that are also created in place so that you can protect yourself, to make sure that, you're not being taken for a ride, you're not being abused, you're not being targeted or anything. So these are things that are in place. But when you're on foot in a neighborhood, I don't know what the protocol is there. I don't know if you'd be allowed to pull out your cell phone and call 911 to check if there's an officer dispatched in the area or whatever, like a double check. But this is the kind of thing that makes me mad and gets me very, very worried. Now, the things that this young man asked, I'm sure he learned through experience, through conversations with his family members as well, as things are happening in the media. From the time that Trayvon Martin with his hoodie or whatever was shot to all the other deaths from that day onwards, the other deaths that have happened, I'm sure we've had lots and lots of conversations in houses. I mean, I know my ex-husband has had many conversations with our son and daughter as well to talk about, okay, if this were to happen, how would you handle it? Because if you don't know how to handle it, you will definitely be taken for a ride. And if you're not careful, you could be the next news headline. So he was taught at some point to ask some questions. He was taught at some point to say, you know what? I know my rights. I don't have to comply. I'm not coming near you. I don't want to sit down, though. I don't want to be in a position where you can get on top of me. You can, overcome my height or whatever. I'm going to stay over here. I hear what you're saying. I am not a threat to you. I think at one point the officer called for backup and said he has a blunt object in his hand. Yeah, it's a stick with a little claw thingy at the bottom to pick up trash. And yes, it could be used as, a weapon, but he is not in a position to threaten you. But the fact that he kept on and kept on and kept on, I could see that some people, they might lose their temper and then use it as a blunt force trauma object. But it's not without a lot of instigation, you see? So I'm actually really proud of the young man in the video because he knew to ask a couple of questions. He knew that he did not have to give up certain parts of his identity because it is to protect himself as well. He gave the cop a student pass that said that he went to a local college that was in the area itself. It was like walking distance from where he was. So it stands to reason that this man is here legitimately living in an apartment complex that he pays rent for, that he's not, snooping around in trash or, picking out mailbox stuff or whatever. He's actually legitimately there providing a community service, but he was by himself. And that was the thing that scared me the most because there were no witnesses other than this body cam. I wish that people knew that they could ask questions. People knew that they could update their belief systems. Just because you've been raised in a household that tells you that certain people are bad, you should avoid them at all costs, there is no rhyme, reason, or logic, but you should do this instead. It's like the blind leading the blind. So I really get nervous when people start to say, I just don't understand. And then the following words, I listen very carefully to. I had a couple conversations this week that says, I just don't understand. I do my level best. I try to be a good person, but what's the point? Because I'm always met with this disregard and lack of respect for the things that I'm trying to accomplish here. Now, speaking to my brother, he was talking about the fact that, as a medic, as a dark-skinned medic, he's getting a lot of calls from people that are saying, yo, doc, you got to be careful. Make sure you don't go outside in your uniform because then you become a target. And he was trying very kindly to explain it's not the uniform that makes him a target. It's his skin color. But the people that were warning him kind of I guess they were too short for that. The comment just kept passing over their heads like it didn't even register. It's your skin color, not your uniform. But he was also saying, like, how many times can I explain the same thing? How many times can I tell people, this is not a one-time thing. This has been going on for a very long time. This is not because I'm with the military. This is not an isolated incident in one part of the country. It's happening everywhere. So when people get frustrated with doing the right thing over and over again, they tend to wonder, like, well, what is the point? They're misbehaving and they're getting away with it. Why can't I? I remember seeing a conversation on a YouTube video. I think I posted it in my feed when I posted the Blackout Tuesday post, because it was 3 generations. It was a generation of people who had lived through the Rodney King beating, and then the next generation down that had lived through, I'm not even sure what the gentleman's name was who passed away as well. But basically it was like a 50-year-old man, it was a 30-year-old man, and a 16-year-old young man. And the 50-year-old man said, look, I've been fighting this fight. I'm sick and tired of fighting this fight. I don't know what else I can do. I don't understand why it's not sticking. I don't understand why they still don't get it. And he was ready to wild out. He was ready to, lose his temper and start a riot. Let me go throw bricks or something, because obviously they don't understand peaceful, protesting. They don't understand when we peacefully stand together and tell you this is not okay, we're banding together or whatever. They want to instigate you until you lose your temper. You know what? Damn it, I'm going to lose my temper. To which the 30-year-old man said, look, don't. We already know that doesn't work. We've tried that so many times. We've had riots before. We've, been beaten up and jailed by the cops before. We've been shot and killed. Right now, it doesn't even take a protest for people to be killing us. So don't do that, because we know history has shown us it does not work. And then he pulled in the 16-year-old young boy and said, look, learn from us. This old man right here, he's been through this so long. This has got to stop. It has to end with your generation. It can't keep going on after that. You don't want to be telling your kids that you lived through this before and you just got to, just suck it up and deal with it or whatever. You don't want that. You want this to change. So don't do what he's getting ready to do, which is lose his temper and go all out violent. Try and stick to the point of being a peaceful protester. Bring in your signs, chant and sing or dance or whatever, but don't do anything violent. Don't cave to the pressure of the police that are trying to get you to obey them blindly. Ask the questions you need to ask. Be as respectful as you possibly can. Try really hard to control your temper so you don't create the same repercussion over and over again. It was really beautiful to see that, because the 30-year-old man was awake. He was noticing this has been going on. These people, the generation above me, have done this already and it didn't quite work. I've got to make sure I hold the line. I've got to make sure that I set the example for the next generation, the 16-year-old boy, so that he understands it can be accomplished. He doesn't have to resort to violence, because guess what? It's really easy to just lose your shit and start using your fists. But everything escalates very quickly at that point. I've seen videos where people are talking about, the police set up piles of bricks where there was no construction along a parade route, just knowing that if they push them hard enough, somebody's going to pick up a brick, and you just need one person to pick up a brick for them to break out the riot gear and go ham on a crowd. So I get nervous when people say, I just don't understand. I really start to pay attention to what happens or what they say after that, because it tells me the state of their being, their mental health at that point, what they can or cannot take any longer. And it's really, really important to notice those things, because that shows me where I can teach them, what I can help them understand, what else they could possibly do, what other things can we brainstorm together that we could do so we could help bring awareness in the right way. We need to change hearts, not convince people that they're wrong. We need to change hearts. We need to get them to see the humanity, not to see that we're right. We are right. There's nothing wrong with what we're saying, with the peaceful protesting, with the Black Lives Matter campaign, all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't force somebody to see something if they're not ready to see it. You got to go another route. You got to go for the heart, not the jugular. You got to go for the heart. And if you can't change the heart at that point, well then, at least you've done your level best. But that's where the change has to come from. And I don't think people understand that. So this is why I'm saying when people say, I don't understand, it's because they're so damn frustrated. They've tried everything that they know. And usually that means that they're in a position where they can empty out their brain of everything they already know, and they're ready to receive new information and try something different. It means they've gotten to that point of rock bottom. I don't know what else to do. I'm ready for your advice. That's the place that we need to start working from. That's the place where we need to start, really talking to each other, having deep discussions where we ask why a couple thousand times and ask them to question where their beliefs came from and what makes it right or not right. How can you express this differently so that people really understand that you're in pain, that this is hurting you, that you are afraid for your life? Because no one wants to be afraid of anybody else. And no one wants someone following them just because they're afraid. What you want is love and connection, and that does not come from fear. Power comes from fear. And even then, it's short-lived. Real love comes with power as well. Real love comes with power and loyalty. Power and respect. You can't get respect from fear. That's not how that works. So please, when you hear someone say, I just don't understand, take that as an opportunity to have a real discussion. Ask them, well, help me understand. What part of this do you not understand? Where here do you find confusion? Or is it that you're frustrated? Are you confused or are you frustrated? Confused as in nothing makes sense because you thought something would happen and it didn't happen? Or are you frustrated because you've been trying really hard to behave and to do things the right way, but it doesn't seem to be making a difference? Because ultimately, I don't want you to lose the faith. I don't want you to lose the hope that things can change. Once you lose the hope that things can change, that's when you give up. That's when you actually lose. And I don't want to lose any more voices. I don't want to lose any more people. I don't want to hear any more people being killed off, because they were just tired of trying. They gave in. They gave up. I want you guys to keep the faith. And it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really testy at the moment to be able to keep the faith in the face of something as big as this. It could be smaller. It could be something inside your house where you've tried really hard to talk to your parents and they just don't want to hear it and they want what they want. But how do you change your perspective then? Because what you want is okay. It's not bad. It's okay. It's tolerable. It's doable. You're not asking for the moon and the stars. But maybe they just don't hear it. So what do you do then? I don't want to hear about anyone else jumping out a window. Damn it. We've lost a lot of people in the last couple of years. There is another way. There's always another way. And maybe they don't hear you. Maybe they don't want to listen to you. Maybe you need to bring in an ally. Maybe you need a third party to sit down and talk to your parents or help you be able to speak to your parents because then they referee the situation. You need help. It's okay. Ask for help. But don't ever give up, please. Just because you don't understand what's going on, maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you've had it up to here with everything that's going on and you just don't know if you have the energy to do it again. That's when you need to call in your allies. That's when you need to know who your ride or die people are. You call in your allies or you reach out to a stranger. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than it is to talk to your friends because they just don't get it anymore. I understand. I'm here for you. So for all of you out there who are dealing with one thing or another, or maybe you're actually, trying to lend support to the Black Lives Matter protest, I appreciate every one of you guys. Do what you can. And if you don't know how, ask for help. It is okay. You're not meant to know everything automatically. Ask for help. Because it's not enough to say you just don't understand anymore. You can ask for help. There are plenty of people out here ready to help. There's plenty of information out there for you to check. Check your sources. Check the information. Check the facts. It's okay. You don't have to have all the solutions, but if you want to help, this is the best way to help. Educate yourself. Ask people for advice. Listen to more voices. If it's the Black Lives Matter situation, please listen to as many Black voices as you can. People that you might trust. Maybe you trust Oprah. Maybe you trust T.I. Maybe you trust Kanye West. Maybe you trust Jay-Z and Beyonce. I don't know. But whoever it is you trust that you think is a good role model that really has everyone's best interest at heart, listen to them and see what they're saying. Will Smith, Red Table Talks, Jada Pinkett Smith, listen to them. Take a beat, listen, understand what they're going through, understand what they're trying to educate the public on. Maybe you are so far removed from the situation you don't have context. So let these people put things in context for you. And then you can make your decisions. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions, comments, drop them below. I really do want to hear from you guys. In the meantime, keep swimming. Keep the hope alive. It's a lot of energy out there. It's a lot of very negative energy. Some people are trying to educate. Some people are just downright criticizing everybody. Some people are just acting a fool because they see a hashtag and they can make use of it. So try and keep your head above water. If you need to disconnect from social media for a little bit to get wrap your head around things, fine, do that. Do whatever you need to get through the day. But don't give up, please. We need you guys, all of you. I love you guys.